Is your own body a mystery to you? Do you wish that you could have a better understanding of how your body functions or what's happening inside of you? But do you find that those terms of anatomy and physiology are daunting and overwhelming? Welcome to Wonderfully Made, where the mystery of your body is revealed. Have you ever sat by the riverside and watched the river flow and imagine what's inside and where it's going to go and nourish? Good evening and welcome to Wonderfully Made, where the mystery of your body is revealed, with me, Khomotso Mokgapi, right here on Life Destiny TV. Your life, your destiny. We're continuing from last week's episode when we were talking about your river of life. And we spoke to you about your red blood cells, about the importance of keeping them alive. Today we're going to focus on something else, on the plasma that we spoke about. If you remember, we said plasma is 90% water together with some nutrition, so your glucose and your proteins and the fats. And there are also proteins such as hormones and enzymes, as well as gases that are dissolved in the blood to go to the different cells, and not forgetting the waste material. Now, we spoke about the cell in the very first episode. So let's understand what the cell is and what it does. We briefly mentioned that you only need to remember the cell membrane. Remember, that's what keeps everything else outside, and what's inside is kept intact. And we spoke about the nucleus as well, where the DNA, your genetic information, is. And we spoke about the mitochondria, which is the powerhouse, where glucose is used up with oxygen to give you energy. Every single cell needs the energy to be able to continue living. Now, how does this tie in with the river of life? So you drink your water through your mouth into your stomach. The water is then absorbed into your blood, which is what we're talking about, your river of life. And remember, the red blood cell is what gives the blood its red color. Once the water is absorbed into your river of life, it must then flow to the many different cells that make up your body and to nourish them. Now, each cell requires all these different elements. Each cell requires water to keep its shape and for the different chemical reactions that happen within it. Each cell requires nutrition. We spoke about glucose combined with oxygen used by the powerhouse to make the energy. Each cell also requires the oxygen coming from the lungs, combining with glucose, as we've just said now. And each cell also requires the different vitamins and minerals for the different chemical reactions that are happening. But what also happens is that each cell produces waste material. And the river of life then takes these waste material, puts it into the blood, and it needs to go out. So you can imagine what would happen if all these things were not working in order. But you don't need to imagine. Come and join us after the break as we explain to you what happens if things are not in balance. Welcome back to Wonderfully Made, where the mystery of your body is revealed, right here on Life Destiny TV. Your life, your destiny. We're talking to you about your great river of life. It is important that you understand this. If your river is not properly taken care of, there will be many diseases. So if I seem to be repeating points, it's because I want you to have a full understanding of what is happening within your own body. Now we need to remember that we said your body is governed by laws. The 8 laws of health. Remember them? New Start, nutrition, exercise, water, sunshine, temperance, air, rest, and trusting in divine power. With every episode, we will see how these link in with what it is we're talking about. So now today we're talking about the river of life and keeping it clean. Why? Because your river flows to go nourish each and every cell, because each cell makes a tissue. Each tissue makes an organ. Each organ makes up a whole system, and you are a combination of multiple systems. So a cell that is not well nourished is a sick cell. Now last week we also spoke about the different functions of blood. And I would like to take you back so that we can go into detail about the different functions of blood. We spoke about the fact that blood is responsible for transportation, just like a river, which is what we've been talking about, and we've mentioned all the things that it transports. We spoke about the fact that blood is responsible for a defense system. This is where we spoke about platelets. Remember your platelets? The ones that causes clotting of blood when you cut yourself, and that's why you don't bleed out. It's your body's reaction to ensure that life is sustained. And we also spoke about the white blood cells, but we'll be speaking about them in more detail when we speak about the lymphatic system, an amazing system, so you do not want to miss that episode. Today I want to focus on the 3 other important functions of blood, which is maintaining the internal environment. Maintaining the internal environment. This is homeostasis. Don't let the big word scare you. If you can understand homeostasis, you are halfway to understanding why you might be sick. What is homeostasis? Homeostasis is maintenance of an internal environment in a constant way. We will be speaking about homeostasis with regards to blood, and you will see that it also affects other different systems. You want to maintain an internal, constant environment. That's homeostasis. I'm pretty certain you have it now. So let's go into the detail. What are the 3 homeostatic functions of blood? Blood controls your body temperature. You didn't know that. Yes, absolutely. Your body temperature is about 37 degrees. Blood has been shown to be a degree higher, so about 38 degrees. Now, how does blood control your body temperature? When you go and exercise and you go run and you start to feel hot internally, what happens to your blood? You see your veins being more visible, right? That is blood flowing to the veins that are on the surface. Because when the blood is flowing on the surface, it's then able to give off heat. And therefore, when it flows back into the internal, into your core veins, it goes back cooled down. And that is how you then cool yourself down. And what happens on a cold day? Have you been to a doctor's room on a cold day and tried to have your blood taken? You will have to rub and prick and slap, because what is happening then is, because your body wants to retain its temperature, the blood is flowing internally at the core level. Your veins on the surface are not allowing as much blood to flow, because otherwise it would lose the body temperature and you would be internally cold at the core. Hence, when we measure temperature, we say we're measuring what? Core temperature, because we don't want to measure the temperature on your skin. Imagine if the weather outside is 5 degrees and your body did not have this way of regulating, your body would freeze. If you were out in a place where it's 0 degrees, your blood would freeze, would it not? So your blood is responsible. As it moves around, it distributes temperature to different parts of your body. Why is this important that your body temperature be 37? Because as I've mentioned before, on a cellular level, there are different chemical reactions happening. And all these chemical reactions need to happen at a specific temperature. It's not really rocket science. Any woman who's done laundry knows that when she buys a bag of soap, it tells her that she needs to wash her clothes in cold water with the soap, otherwise it does not work. It is the same for our bodies. And hence, when our body's temperature is too high, at a temperature of 40, people may end up with convulsions. Your body is realizing that this is not how it's supposed to be. You are frying your own cells. Is the body not amazing? That ability to regulate temperature between 36.4 and 37.6. And even if your temperature goes up, your body finds a way to bring it back down. And you thought anatomy and physiology was boring and only for doctors? Imagine the next time you have a fever, you will understand and you will know exactly what to do. You want to be able to bring down your temperature. Now, the second thing that your body needs to be able to maintain very well is your water content. What I need you to understand is the different compartments of water. So focus and come with me. We said there is water within your river of life, which is your blood vessels, where your blood is. Are you with me? Right. And then we said that this water needs to move into the cell. So there's another compartment, which is the cell. But in between the cells and the blood vessel, there is also fluid moving around. This is called the extracellular space. Simply, extra is outside, cellular. Outside of the cells, there's a space and there's fluid. So there are three compartments in the blood vessel, within the cell itself, which is intracellular, and in between, which is the extracellular. Now, why is this important? In your blood, you have 5 liters of blood flowing, but you have more water in your system. So now the water needs to move from the blood vessels into the cells and into the extracellular space. Now, what controls whether water moves in and out? It's the amount of salt in all these different spaces. Your cells with the cell membrane allow water to move freely in and out and into the extracellular space. Now, can you imagine if you drank too much water? That might mean there is too much water within your blood vessel. Now, this water might want to move from your blood vessel into your cell. Now, imagine that a cell is a balloon, right? It's closed up and it's got water inside, it's got your nucleus, it's got your mitochondria. If more water than is needed keeps going into this balloon, what's going to happen to the balloon? It's going to burst. That would literally happen to your cells if your blood did not control how much water goes in and out. For those who are really interested, this is called osmoregulation. It speaks about osmosis. Grab a textbook and read some more. But let's continue with this. So what does the body do to control this? When there's too much water in your blood, your brain, the headquarters, a topic for another day, will tell your blood vessels that this extra water needs to be excreted. It needs to go out, and your kidneys are responsible for getting rid of the extra water. Why? To make sure that your cells do not burst and you don't have extra fluid in the extracellular spaces. Have you seen those people who've got swollen ankles? Now you can understand that there is fluid where it is not meant to be. Something is happening that is not meant to happen. The whole point of studying anatomy and physiology is so that you may understand these little things when they start happening to you. The third part that we're going to discuss is going to be pH. P what? Don't worry. This is what you're here to learn about. But before we continue with pH, you need to take a break. So go grab a glass of water and join us immediately after this. Good evening and welcome back to Wonderfully Made, where the mystery of your body is revealed right here on Life Destiny TV. Your life, your destiny. Are you excited to learn about pH? I know I am excited to teach you. If more people could understand what pH is, many of the diseases we have, we wouldn't have. pH. Doctors, we take complicated, simple things and make them complicated. The pH of 7 is neutral. On the other side is something that is acidic. On the other side of 7, going up, is something that is alkaline. The pH of something simply tells us whether it is acidic or if it is alkaline. Understand? So neutral. The only thing that is neutral is pure water. What did I say? Pure water. If you've just grabbed your water, depending where you got it, the pH might vary. If you've got bottled water, even better. Turn the bottle around and look at what your pH is. Probably 5, 6.6, maybe 7 if you're lucky. Why is pH important? Your cells, cellular reactions within your body happen at a certain pH. Now the pH in your body, in your blood, needs to be 7.4. As you've seen with other measures, the body is very specific. A temperature of 36.4 to 37.6. A pH of 7.34 to 7.45. This is when chemical reactions are able to happen at optimum level. So if you have realized what I've said, it means your body is slightly alkaline. The pH of vinegar is 2.5. The pH of ammonia, which you find in your washing liquid, like a handy Andy, is about 10. Your body wants to function at a pH of 7.4. So what's the big deal? Well, whenever the cell is having its chemical reactions, so the oxygen moves in, right? And it moves in with the glucose into the mitochondria, which is the powerhouse, the one that gives you energy. The chemical reaction happens and out comes energy, but not just energy. Remember the waste materials we spoke about? Out comes energy together with carbon dioxide. Yes, your every single cell is breathing out together with a hydrogen molecule. And these then go into your blood. Now, carbon dioxide and a hydrogen molecule are what makes your blood to be acidic. So what I'm saying to you is your own body makes your blood acidic. This sounds like a problem. There must be something wrong with the body. But remember, we are fearfully and wonderfully made. There is nothing that is a mistake. So what does it all mean? Well, once your body has made the energy, the reason it is not worried about this carbon dioxide and the hydrogen molecule that ends up in your blood trying to make your blood to be acidic, a pH of 5 or 4 or 3 or 2. Incidentally, a pH of anything less than 6.8 or a pH of 7.8 would lead to death. So this is a very serious thing for you to understand. So the carbon dioxide and the hydrogen ends up in your blood. And the blood is thinking, this is too acidic. We can't have this here. Because you're fearfully and wonderfully made, there is what we call a base. A base is an opposite of an acid. So the base comes and it combines together with the acid to form a weaker acid. What's a weaker acid? If vinegar was an acid with a pH of 2.5, hydrochloric acid from your own stomach has a pH of 0. Do you understand? So there are different acids, and weaker acids, their pH approaches neutral. So your carbon dioxide, together with the hydrogen molecule, would combine with a base and form a weaker acid, thus moving your blood back to within a pH of 7. And they would then travel to the lungs where the carbon dioxide is breathed out, and therefore that acidic waste material is taken out of your body. So the carbon dioxide, together with the hydrogen, which are waste materials from the cell, in the blood would combine with the base to form a weaker acid which is not as strong. Thus the pH is approaching 7, and the blood would take this combination and it will take it to the lungs, and the carbon dioxide will be breathed out, and therefore you're getting rid of the waste material. But there are those of you who are saying, what about the hydrogen? Well, the hydrogen is not left in the blood. It's excreted through the kidneys. So the two systems that would be responsible then for helping your body, your blood, to balance the pH is your lungs, your respiratory system, and your urinary system, which are your kidneys. So then what would happen if your lungs or your kidneys are not working? And which is why we maintain that you need to look at your body as a whole. Even though we're speaking about the river of life, you see how the other different systems come into play to ensure that your river of life is kept clean. This is what pH is about. Now, what are the other things that affect your pH? Exercise increases the amount of carbon dioxide and hydrogen that comes as the waste material. And that's why when you're exercising, you're breathing more because you want more of the oxygen and you want to get rid of the carbon dioxide. But also if you do vigorous exercise, there are other byproducts that comes, such as lactic acid. But more importantly, it is the food that we eat. But this is a topic for another day, where we speak about the food that we eat and what happens. What about lemon? It's acidic. What's important to understand is not the acidity of the food that we're eating, but the byproducts that comes from breaking down that food. It might not make sense to you right now, but that's why you need to continue tuning in so you can continue learning. Exercise is important. I need to say that, lest somebody heard me and thought that they should not exercise anymore because it produces more acid. The more you exercise, the more you increase your red blood cells. Remember, we spoke about them last week. And the more you exercise, the more you increase your lung capacity and you're able to get rid of more carbon dioxide and get in more oxygen. But that is also a topic for another day. So now you have come to understand the three big functions of the internal conditions that your blood is responsible for maintaining. That is the body temperature, that is the pH that we've just spoken about, and that is also the water. And then we need to speak about what else is left in there. We spoke about the food that we eat in the blood. We spoke about the minerals and the vitamins. We've already spoken about the waste material and how these work together with the 8 laws of health. While you digest everything that we've just spoken about now, let's take a break, but be sure to come and join us soon after this. Welcome back to Wonderfully Made, where the mystery of your body is revealed right here on Life Destiny TV. Your life, your destiny. I'm hoping that today's episode has been eye-opening for you, that you will view or think about your blood in a different light. But why? Because we always mention that there are things that you can do to be able to keep your own body healthy. And we will speak about those. So what would happen if your body was not able to get rid of the waste material? If your blood could not do what it was supposed to do? Maybe there's too much of the waste material, of the acid. Would it send it back to the cell? Would it keep it in the blood? As I've said, a pH of 6.8 below or 7.8 and above is incompatible with life. It would lead to death. But you're so fearfully and wonderfully made that your body cannot, if it can, will prevent you from dying. So what happens to the waste material? Have you ever wondered why you're struggling to lose weight? And you know you're not eating as much as you thought. You've cut down and you're exercising, but you still cannot lose weight. Your body is so amazing that it finds a place to store these toxic materials. And what better place than fat? So a lot of people walking around have excess fat, not because they've got excess calories, but simply because they're storing all these waste material. Now think about it. If you try to break down those fat cells, you're going to release back the toxic chemicals into your own body. And hence it's important that when you decide to go on a detox program, make sure that you speak to your doctor first so that you have the right support, you're having the right kind of food, you're making sure that you have the right bases. Why? Because the base, which is alkaline, will combine with the toxin and be able to help it to be excreted. So keep that in mind, and it might help you lose weight. Now, what can you do? The 8 laws of health in your blood. Nutrition. I think it is really straightforward. The food that you eat ends up forming the nutrition in your blood. But not just the food that you eat, the kind of food that you eat. Is the food that you're eating alkaline forming, or is the food that you're eating making acid? It's important to know that. But what you need to do, instead of trying to remember which foods are acidic and which foods are not, is to have food that is balanced. What do I mean by balance? Whole grains, having your legumes and your peas and your beans and your nuts, and having fruits and having vegetables. When you have a balance of all those 4, your body will be able to use the material to control and regulate itself. But junk food, meat products, those are acid-forming foods. Exercise. We've already spoken about exercise and how it increases the amount of carbon dioxide and hydrogen, but at the same time, it increases oxygen. So exercise is good for you. You also get to sweat, releasing some of the toxins through your skin. So don't skip out on exercise. Water is important. 92% of your blood plasma is water. So it's absolutely essential that you have water in your blood. You know when you have that headache because you have not drank your water? Skip the medication. Drink your water and see what happens. Then there's sunshine and temperance. Doing things in moderation, including avoiding the things that are bad for you. And rest. And trusting in God. Because when you trust in God and you go back to His Word, you reduce the amount of stress and your cells are also not stressed out. I hope that this lesson on the river of your life has been very helpful to you. I hope that you're thinking about your blood in a different way. And when you choose your foods, you'll be thinking, is this going to create acid? Is this going to nourish my cells? Is this going to feed my blood in a positive way? And by the fruits thereof, whether you're sick or not, is an indication of the state of your blood. Now, next week, you don't want to miss the show, because what makes the river flow? The heart and the vessels, to and from the heart. That's what we'll be talking about next week. Thank you for being with us this evening. Thank yourself for having come to learn right here on Wonderfully Made, where the mystery of your body is revealed, right here on Live Destiny TV, your life, your destiny.